Okay, now we're live. Okay, now we're live.
All right. Hey, what's up? Hello. It's Lit Life with Miranda Reads, and it's
Tucker.
Tucker. It's Tucker.
I mean, the struggle is all my handles, like on Goodreads and Instagram, is Tucker Almengor. That's my full name. But I also go by Tucker the Reader on Goodreads, so I don't really know.
All right. It's Lit Life with Miranda Reads and Tucker the Reader as well.
Yes.
And today we are doing our live stream.
Okay, now we're live.
All right. Hey, what's up? Hello. It's Lit Life with Miranda Reads, and it's
Tucker.
Tucker. It's Tucker.
I mean, the struggle is all my handles, like on Goodreads and Instagram, is Tucker Almengor. That's my full name. But I also go by Tucker the Reader on Goodreads, so I don't really know.
All right. It's Lit Life with Miranda Reads and Tucker the Reader as well.
Yes.
And today we are doing our live stream for July's the Plot Thickens Book Club. So this past live stream, and of course the book's in the other room, but it was I was told it would get easier by Abby Waxman.
And I don't have a copy either. I didn't buy another one, and I probably won't because I'm cheap and I don't like to buy books unless they're like super cheap. Let me look up.
The reason why Tucker doesn't have one is because he gave it to me.
Yes.
I am a huge Abby Waxman fan, and Tucker actually got a copy from Goodreads of the ARC, which is Advanced Reader's copy of the book. And
this is what it looks like.
There we go.
Yep. Yeah. So I guess
thoughts on the book.
Well, initial rating, I have to check because I read it so long ago. I think I read it in either May or June, and it's August now, so I don't fully remember. Bless you.
I'm going to be casual and mute my mic, but that didn't work, did it?
It's okay. I'm probably going to sneeze at some point because I have really bad allergies. The dust is like extremely high according to the weather app I have, so I'm probably going to sneeze at some point.
And then like with COVID happening, every time I sneeze, I'm like, I swear I'm not infected. I just am allergic to everything out there.
I mean, it was funny. I had some friends over last night, and one of them has just came back from California, so she's like, I'll just wear a mask just so I don't potentially transmit it. And I was the one who kept sneezing. It was just ironic.
Well, it's spiking everywhere right now. Anyway, so your rating for it gets easier.
My rating was 4 stars. Yeah, 4 stars.
I say I was between 4 and 4.5, and I ended up bumping it up to 4.5 because it's Abby Waxman, and my personal biases apparently really influence how I feel about a book.
I think I was leaning either between 3.5 rounded up or just 4 stars, and I went with 4 stars. I think to me, it was just such a shift from what she'd done with Bookish Life of Nina Hill. So that was not jarring per se. I just had to kind of get used to it because they were basically 2 whole different books. I also felt like this book didn't have as much kind of pure lighthearted joy. It was a little more almost somber and serious, which I didn't mind. It was just interesting.
I definitely noticed that as well. I think part of my rating was influenced by my own relationship with my mother. And I remember those teenage years where it's just like everything innocent that was done, and you're ready to like go at the mom, or the mom is like just so annoyed with you. But at the same time, there's that deep underlying love for it.
When I was reading it, because I'm still in my teenage years, but I always joke that I'm an old man trapped in a teenager's body because, and people have told me this, that I generally don't act like a teenager in I guess maturity, but also especially with my relationship with my parents. I'm very close to my parents, which is not usual for my age, and I'm close to them in a way that isn't usual for my age. So I didn't relate to it in that part, but I related to it kind of vicariously through my siblings. Judah, hush. Through my siblings, because they're in that classic phase of not of kind of squabbling with our parents. So I related it. I kind of vicariously related to it by them.
Yeah. I mean, like, there were definitely moments when me and my mom were like the book, but for the most part, we did have like a very good relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of continued, and as we've both kind of mellowed out as well.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that kind of pushed the book into that 4.5 category for me was just how well she had the two different personalities. Because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like so many books you have so many personalities, but at the same time they feel like the same person over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I thought that like you could instantly tell based off of the just a few short sentences who it was.
Yeah, they're very polarizing, like with each other. Mm-hmm.
But that being said, what kept it from being 5 stars for me was I was expecting a moment of cooperation between the mom and the daughter. Like I thought that the daughter and the mom would have worked together to get her mom to fix the issues with her work. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought the mom would work with the daughter to smooth out things and help her with the college. I thought there would be a kind of like a connection and the intersection of their lives and
Mm-hmm.
like the old learning from the young learning from the old. And I feel like that didn't happen as much as I thought it would.
Yeah, and I saw that too, but I also kind of appreciated that there wasn't that almost huge, almost unrealistic like climax. I kind of felt like I appreciated that it was kind of a very slow coming together, kind of how it is in real life. Because like when teenagers squabble with their parents, it's not usually like a big moment that brings them together. It's just kind of years and years of slow cooperation, and that's kind of how I felt with this book, and I appreciated that.
I can see that. I can see that.
I will admit,
Um,
though, I don't remember much of the book because I read it so long ago.
so my next question is gonna be, what was your favorite part? So I don't know if you're gonna be able to answer that.
Literally, the only one I could generally just say I remember the beginning with them getting on the bus, and then they did a bunch of stuff. And there was the one lady that the mom, I barely remember names. There was one lady that the mom hated, and then the one girl that the girl hated. And that's just about it. I remember there was some sort of scandal with college funds and stuff like that, but that's just about all I remember.
Okay, fair enough.
Hmm.
Um, I think one of my favorite parts is at the very, very end, which is a spoilery bit. But when all the teenagers are rushing to stop, oh gosh, I can't remember the names either. And I just read it this week. That's why in all of my reading vlogs, I say our main character. That's
Hmm.
because I can't. Well, when you're reading like 30 books a month, that's like a lot of names. I still don't
Hmm.
remember all the names of like the kids I PA'd for. So,
Yeah. Um,
but
I
anyway,
feel
they
like.
were running to stop. They thought like one of the teenagers was part of a college cheating scandal, and they were running to stop. And then
Mhm.
there's just kind of the fun interactions as they realize like, oh wait, this situation actually is. I'm gonna kind of keep it from spoiling, but I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Um, I vaguely remember that scene. As I said, and I generally I remember a book more if it makes a bigger impact on me, and this book didn't make as much of an impact on me. I think because I'm not a mom, and nor will I ever be. Um, and
First
I'm
of all, you're
also.
known as mom and dad, so you gotta step up to the plate. You gotta take her on those mommy daughter.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that I almost read it. I read it with the feeling of I appreciate this, but it's also I'm not the person who's going to be impacted by it. Um,
Mm.
and it's
I feel
interesting.
that, and I appreciate you still reading the book with me, even though like you have that moment.
Hmm. And I think it'll. And I'm actually going to try to get my mom to read it because I think she'd really appreciate it. But also, I noticed that Abby Waxman. I feel like it was a book coming from her own experience a lot because I know she's the mom of teenagers right now. And I felt that a
Mhm.
lot in the book.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Really? You don't? Oh gosh. Oh gosh. But ugh. It's okay. So Now that we talked about the book club book, any last thoughts on it?
I would say that I'm not saying that people who aren't moms or teenagers or anything like that shouldn't read it. I would just say if you are a teenager with parents, read this book because I think it can give a lot of perspective. Or if you're a mom with teenagers, a mom or a dad with teenagers, read this book because it can be encouraging and like a I'm so glad someone else knows what I'm going through kind of book. But I still think even others should give it a chance because it is entertaining.
It's very entertaining, and I do think like the way the two of them look at the arguments, it really does put things into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so moving on. We were
Yes,
talking about something earlier this month, and I don't remember if you remember us talking about it, but I was like cutting off the conversation. We'll save it for the live stream.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up on Goodreads, and I have blocked roughly 400 accounts by now. And
Okay, I remember that. 3, I think it was 3 or 4. I can
okay, so
check.
I'm curious, what is bad enough for you to block an account, and why only 3?
I only block accounts. I always block accounts that spam on my reviews. That bugs me so much when 11-year-olds will just go onto my reviews and act like it's a chat forum and just talk and talk and talk. Because I get emails from that, and then they blur out the actual comments on my reviews. So I always block those kids, especially because almost always they're the kids with this person is my best friend, and I'm 11 years old, and I go to this school, which means they're not supposed to be on Goodreads anyway. So I block those people. I block people who are spamming me because I'll get like those really weird like this doctor does magic stuff, and I got my ex-husband back. I block
From
those.
Nigeria. I swear, like 90%,
Oh,
if you go to their accounts, like their location is like Nigeria.
I've actually blocked 12 people.
Oh,
Yeah, they're all
wild
people.
thing, you.
They're all people with no profile pictures and 0 friends. Or there is one that was spamming me because he was an 11-year-old, and then there's one that was being creepy and he was asking for nudes and stuff. So I blocked and reported him. But generally, I don't block people because I'm way too empathetic and I'm way too kind, I think. But also, I kind of mildly am entertained by other people's stupidity. Like when I get messages asking, like, I don't know, random things like, do you know about this magic pill? And I don't know why, I just find it so entertaining to interact with them, especially because I know that at any moment I can just stop. And I only stop when things start to get creepy, like if they're asking for my address or things like that. I stop when it gets creepy. But usually I find those things entertaining. What else?
So for
What?
my criteria is 2 stupid comments. Like the first one, okay, fine. But then when they do a paragraph and it's completely unreadable, I'm like, what are you doing here? It starts to become like a spam thing. And
Mhm.
just from experience, like if I one time it's a mistake, 2 times it's generally going to become a pattern. And I'm just like, I don't have time for this. I've written 1,000 reviews in Goodreads. I can't follow this. I can't keep track of this.
And I think that's where
Normally
you and
what
I
happens
are.
is,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, normally what happens is it'll be like in rapid succession, like all of a sudden like 6 or 7 reviews has like these really random weird comments. And like they always feel like, like the spelling like becomes Liek, XD, all that junk. And I'm like, I don't have time for this.
Mm-hmm.
And they get sent to the blocked realm.
And I think the difference between you and I is you have a lot larger following than I do. So I don't have as many comments to respond to, and I also don't have as many people spamming me. But what does annoy me, and I don't know how you react to this, but when I just get random comments that are like, "Hi, how are you? Hello," Well, comments aren't as bad, but when I get messages saying just hi, I get kind of irritated and I never respond to them because I'm like, I don't want to have to like take the time because I feel like it's so much harder to respond to messages, or maybe I'm just lazy. Um,
Well, when I first started getting big on Goodreads, I would respond to those, but the
mhm,
conversations were always just so weird, and
mhm.
over 50% of the time it just became like very much like, okay, dude, I'm blocking you now. I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Yeah, it
At
just
this
kind of it
point,
gets out of hand really quickly, and it's just never
yeah.
worth my time. And I've said this on Goodreads, and I've said this in one of my vlogs. I said, if you want to talk to me, I love talking with people, but don't just kind of weirdly message me hi. Say something related, like go to a book, one of my reviews, and say, oh, nice review, or I enjoy this review, or I disagree with you. Start a conversation because I'm fine with conversations. Just
Oh yeah, definitely.
the random highs, I kind of get a little like, I'm not gonna respond to that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's just kind of like it's like hi, and I'm like, hi, what?
Hmm.
Where is this conversation gonna go?
Hmm.
And then the other thing that I don't know if you ever get this, but I get so many emails asking me how to use Goodreads.
I don't get that.
Well,
um,
consider yourself lucky. I'm talking like 2 to 3 times a week. I will get messages on Goodreads. Is this a where are the free books? That's the most common one.
hmm.
How do I read a book on here? And
Hmm.
then what is like, and then they'll ask like a random function of Goodreads.
Hmm.
And at first, when I first like kind of got those messages, I'm like, oh, okay, here, Lee, blah blah blah, and I like typed up like several paragraphs. They never responded, and then I would just get it's just escalated to the point where I'm like, I'm not even gonna respond that I'm not an employee of Goodreads because
Hmm.
then they just need to get mad at me for not being an employee of Goodreads.
Hmm.
So those are the other ones that I ignore. And then if they start sometimes if I don't do the message, they'll start commenting on my reviews. Like, why aren't you answering me? And I'm like, block.
Yeah. Someone said on the comments that Goodreads can be confusing, and I agree. Especially on the desktop, it took me a while to figure out all the functions because the desktop actually uses HTML for comments, which can be confusing. That's why for a lot of people that are just looking for the basic functions, I just say use the app because it's a lot simpler. But for that reason, I use the desktop because it has a lot more features. Um, and when I check the comments on my phone, I use the Chrome thingy where you can switch the website to desktop because I just prefer using the desktop. Um,
Mm-hmm.
on the note of messages, I got a message the other day asking how to embed images in your reviews, and actually, I told them, and then like I gave instructions, and then I took a screenshot of the message and uploaded it to what's it called, Imager, I think, so that I could just send the image whenever someone asked me again.
Yeah, maybe I should just start doing that. Have like my own FAQ, and then whenever they ask me that, I can just copy
Copy
paste.
paste. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea because it does happen frequently. And in the
Hmm.
beginning, I would try and help out, but then it got to the point where you're spending like an hour or so trying to go through these messages and help people through Goodreads, and you're not getting paid for it. It's kind of like,
Hmm.
why are you doing this?
Yeah, I think I got one earlier, and who was it? I can't honestly remember what it was about, but the girl she was really sweet, and she was like, "I love your reviews, and I've seen that you do this function, but I don't know how to do it." So I explained it to her, and she was really nice
That's a little bit different. That's like personal. And I'm sorry, am I not giving you attention?
about
But like that's like a personal connection. That's like someone who maybe you don't know them, but they know you a little bit more personally.
it. Hmm.
Versus where are the books? Where can I find the book? Why can't I read this free book? And I don't know. Like to me, like the tone is different for
Hmm.
that.
That's something I see, and you know how Goodreads has like you can ask questions about a book. Um, I see so many, especially on middle grade books. How can I read this book? Where's the free book? Because people just think you can read books on Goodreads, which I kind of understand the confusion, but um, okay. Also, occasionally, I got one message. The person was asking me about or about a book that I had reviewed, and I was like, "Well, just go to the book page and ask me there." So sometimes that'll be a little frustrating when people direct message me and ask me about a book. If it's a book that I've reviewed, it can be a little like, just a little
like the
off-putting.
comments where they're like, "What is this book about?" And you have written a 1,000-word like review of it already, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
"It was good."
Yeah.
That's my response. Oh, or I'll say like, "It's 5 stars." I call it.
Mhm.
He has no idea that I'm talking to you, so every time I get excited, he's like, "So."
Yeah.
Oh, my
Angela,
favorite idiot.
Angela said that Amazon needs to make some major updates to Goodreads, and I agree and disagree. I think there are a lot of things that should be added, which now I
I
can't
would
think
love
of.
to see the, like, on Amazon, we can like do that sneak peek of
Mm-hmm.
the book. I would love to see that in Goodreads.
Oh, I would too. I wish that they would. This is like a small kind of non. It's not. It's really small, but I wish that they were more like open about the whole Goodreads librarian application, because basically you take the quiz and then you apply, and you don't get any word. Like they don't. They only tell you if you get in. They don't tell you if you didn't, which is really annoying to me. But yeah, I told you about this earlier, but and you explained to me why it wouldn't probably work. But I wish they would add more titles than just like the best reviewer, the top reviewer. But I know their servers probably couldn't handle all of that.
Like, I don't know this personally, but I have talked to other reviewers who are on the top reviewers, and it's a lot. It takes up a lot of server space, at least according to them, to try and keep track of like the top reviewer, the most followed reviewer, because like there's millions of accounts, and every week they go through and they count all the votes or the
Mm-hmm.
likes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go there, you can actually see that some of the stats take a lot longer to be updated than others. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's just because like, the system is getting overwhelmed. And I actually got rid of some of those ones, I think about a year ago, because I used to be like really obsessed by watching the numbers because I thought it was like really cool to see my number
Mm-hmm.
go up or down or figure out like how to boost my account for Goodreads, like what kind of participation works, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That could be because graduate school and used to analyzing numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had like an opportunity to like do it real life, I was like, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
figure this out.
Yeah, I try not to look at I look at them occasionally, but I remember especially last summer, to me, the numbers were either validation or invalidation. So when they went down, I was sad, and if they went up, I was happy. So I
Yeah, I
definitely
can see.
hmm
Yeah.
I worked through that, but yeah, I definitely had to stop looking at them as much. Barco asked, do either Tucker or Miranda use an e-reader or Kindle app? If so, do they have a preferred e-reader app for digital book reading? So you go first.
Okay. So my sister when I first started getting into Goodreads, my sister gave me her Kindle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a really old generation Kindle, and it's actually surprisingly difficult to use. But I was
Mm-hmm.
using that for ebooks as long as I can, and then recently I got a iPod, iPad third generation, the 12.5 screen, and I use that for video editing
Mm-hmm.
because, whew, like I'm telling you, it's such a difference. Like on my laptop, it would take me like 8 to 10 hours to edit a video. On the iPad, 3 hours or less, which is an insane amount of time saved. But I've
Yeah.
been using that as I use a Kindle app on that, and I do that for most of my reading of ebooks.
Mm-hmm. So I very, very rarely read ebooks. I used to, but now I have epilepsy. So what happens is if I read them, my brain gets really confused with the words on the screen. It's weird because I can read like articles are actually really hard too, but I can read texts and I can watch movies and all of that. I can read small bits of text. When I try to read books or articles, what happens is like I don't want to say it's like dyslexia because the letters don't get mixed up, but like the lines will get a little mixed up, and it can give me a headache. It can make me dizzy. But the reason I stopped is because one day it actually triggered a small seizure. So I was like, I'm gonna stop e-reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't generally e-read, but when I used to, I have a Kindle, not a Kindle Paperwhite, an e-Kindle, like one of the. It doesn't have the backlight, but I liked that a lot. So I recommend Kindle, especially because you can send your own documents to Kindle, and Kindle does library reading.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
on Libby, when you get an ebook, you can do read in Libby or read in Kindle, and you can connect Libby to your Kindle so you can read your ebooks on your Kindle. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mostly use the Kindle for NetGalley books because right now I'm a reading representative for Once Upon a Book Club, and we are supposed to read the books ahead of time. So NetGalley is the quickest way in the pandemic to get copies of books so you can read them, mark them up, and then suggest them to the Once Upon a Book Club.
Oh shoot, hold on. What was I gonna say? There's
Okay.
a yes, I dropped something. There's a NetGalley app, you know.
Oh.
Oh, didn't you know this? I thought I told you. Maybe I didn't.
You'll get to this stage in your life too, but it just becomes one more technology to learn. And you just kind of like, you know what? This convoluted system might take me 4 hours to get through, but it works. Therefore, I'm going to keep it.
Yeah.
And that's also kind of why my video editing took forever until I was finally like, you know what? I can't do this anymore.
Video editing.
No, I didn't know that there was a NetGalley.
Yeah, hold on. I just downloaded it, so I'm going to show you. It's very this way. It's very basic, and I'm not signed in. But basically, you can listen to audiobooks because NetGalley has audiobooks now, which is really exciting. But I actually don't request audiobooks on NetGalley. It was either you or someone else I told, but I hate requesting books on NetGalley because whoever is in charge of it, and I've heard it's usually interns. No offense to interns, but they're very decline button trigger happy. So I very rarely request things from NetGalley. I tried to request an audiobook, but they just declined it, which is funny because I just went straight to the publicist that I would have reached out to, and she gave it to me anyway. So I always reach out to publicists directly because they're a lot nicer and more generous.
Well, you've also created that relationship with a publicist.
And that's the thing is on NetGalley, they just see your profile. They don't see the person, which is why I always recommend emailing someone directly rather than using like a request form or anything like that.
So if you were to give advice to someone who wanted to get into book reading, like, okay, not book reading, book reviewing, what would you suggest?
For what? I guess.
How to get, because like, how to get free books for a review.
Oh, I could go. We could do a whole live stream on this, but
we'll get started this round. If we miss anything, we can always cover it another time.
Oh, real quick, so the comments. Barco said, thanks. iPad's a good call. Awesome devices, pricey though. Kindle's neat features. I agree. iPads, iOS, Apple devices are so freaking expensive, but most of the time, I think they're worth it. But if you're low on money, I do recommend the Kindles because they're, for what you have to pay for them, they're actually really good. I got a Kindle in 2016, and I've been using. I got a few new ones because they broke, not because they're old, but because I'm stupid and I break things. But I've been using Amazon's devices from 2016 until just last December when I got an iPhone. So I definitely recommend the Kindles. Angela said, I have a Paperwhite as well. I love it, and I get migraines often, so it helps. Yes, I've heard that. My English teacher gets migraines, and she has a Kindle.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So getting ARCs. It was, I would say for me, it took, about a year and a half for me to feel completely 100% comfortable with like reaching out to publicists because it can seem very scary. I was telling someone else about this, and I don't know.
All the time. I'm like, they're not going to give it to me. They're not going to want me to read their book. Why would they give me something for free?
I think I can be I used to be kind of entitled for the first like 6 months. I was like, I'm so bitter that I didn't get this ARC. And I still definitely get disappointed, but I'm like, oh well, I'll get to read it at some point. So I'm not as upset. I also used to be super annoying. I used to nag publishers. I've probably made some enemies in the publicist world. I think there's a balance because I think most publicists will say, if I don't get back to you within a week or two, reach out. And I say, if you email a publicist and they don't get back to you, I would say within 1 to 3 weeks, email them once. And if they don't get back to you, then just let it go. Because if you keep emailing them, it'll just annoy them.
So you're
Um,
saying email them, but like, what would you recommend as an email? Like, what would you say?
okay. Let me pull. I have a template. Well,
You
I
have a
don't.
template.
Yes, I have a
Oh
template.
my God.
It has been ever changing since 2017. I had the same template, and then I edit it every once in a while. Let me pull it up. But on the note of getting ebooks or arcs, I recommend starting with digital arcs because publishers, that's what I started with, and publishers are a lot more likely to give you a digital arc than a physical arc.
Right. I've noticed that as well. They'll always try and give me a digital arc, but
you
like
have to you have to nudge them. Like most publicists will be like, "Here's this digital arc." I'm like, "Do you have the physical arc?" They're like, "Sure." So almost always they try to kind of give you the I guess maybe the cheaper option, because it's cheaper for them, I assume, to give you digital arcs.
Mhm.
Okay, so here is my template. I want to post it out, like post it somewhere for afterwards.
Maybe we could throw a link down below then and just
Yeah,
do
I'll
it
put
that
a.
way.
Oh, Barco asked what an ARC is. An ARC is an advanced reader copy. Publishers send out, it's basically the book, but it has a few mistakes because publishers send out these copies of books before they come out so that editors can look at them, so that bookstores can look at them and decide if they want to buy it, and so that book reviewers can review them and kind of promote them and be like, everyone, you need to read this book when it comes out. Um, so here's my template. It is hi. I say hi because at this point I know most of the publicists, but if you're worried about being formal, say hello. Anyway, hi. I hope your week is going well. I'm emailing you because I'm interested in insert title. I was wondering if there are copies available for coverage. Now, after copies, I put an asterisk and said that I don't accept um, digital copies because I don't. But some people, especially if you have a smaller blog, you might want to start by accepting digital copies because
Mhm.
it takes a little bit to get physical copies. Um, Anywho, where was I? If so, I would love to acquire one. Upon receiving it, and then after saying upon receiving it, I go into what my process is for book reviewing.
So
So,
like Instagram, a
mm-hmm,
little pre-review on Goodreads.
mm-hmm.
I think that's all that you do, right?
Oh no, I do Instagram, Goodreads, YouTube, and my blog.
Oh, you're throwing YouTube in there now.
Mhm.
Nice.
I mean, it doesn't really do much because it's literally only 130 subscribers, and I actually don't like put all the books that I get on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's why I
Um,
do the reading vlogs. I can guarantee like if you send me your book for review, I can talk about it in my monthly reading vlog. And I'd
mhm,
say pretty much every book that gets sent to me gets put on there,
mhm,
except for the ones I don't like because
mhm.
I feel that
And
it's like, hey, you gave me this free book and I hate it.
okay,
So
so that's something I felt bad too. And I remember there's a review. I don't know if it's still probably up. I changed the rating. A book called The Storm Crow. The rating is 3 stars now, but when I um the review up as 5 stars, and I also changed the review because it was 100% BS. I talked about how much I loved the book when I didn't because I was legitimately terrified of saying I didn't enjoy this book. But
right.
I'm a lot more honest now. Um,
Well, like it's like
Publishers.
I will still write that review and I'll still be honest,
Mhm,
but I won't be mean. And I feel like
mhm,
when I do my reading vlogs, those are just literally me ranking the books
mhm,
and like hey, here's an emphasis about why this book sucks. I
mhm,
feel like that it can kind of pretty easily go into the mean category. So
mhm,
like in those cases, I'll put something on Instagram, I'll put something on Goodreads, but I
mhm,
might not mention it in my YouTube.
mhm. So yeah, um, I'll go into honesty and how to handle negative reviews in a second. Again, I could do whole seminars on this because
Look, that can be your next series on YouTube. Go
oh
for
my
it.
gosh, I have done
You
it.
did one about
Yeah.
outlining a story. Remember that one? That one was a good one.
Hmm.
Frozen theme.
Yeah. Um, okay, after that, I say, here's what I do when I get a book, and then I give my social stats. So I give how many people are following me on Goodreads, how many blog followers I have, YouTube subscribers, Instagram followers, and then I say, for any more info, please visit my review policy, which can be found in my signature. So I have a review policy. which I guess I'll link in the description.
I didn't know you had a review policy. I knew you had the letter, and I kind of
That
vaguely
is my
remember
review
what was in
policy.
it. Oh, that's
Yeah,
your
that's my
review.
yeah. It's kind of, it's like a little stylized, but basically my review policy is where I say what genres I accept, what genres I don't accept, what my
Okay.
ratings mean, and
Oh,
all of that
I don't
stuff.
have that. That's a good thing to add on there, actually.
Like I'll do 5 stars, this is what that means, etc. And all of that, I give all that info, and then I say I used to have my address in my review policy, and then I realized, shoot, my review policy is publicly accessible,
Oh,
so
it's on your website. Oh,
so I
okay.
removed
I didn't
my
know
address.
you wanted to
Um,
change it.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember like a while ago you're like, how did I get these books? I never gave them my address, and you found out that they went to your website, right? It's all connecting now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited of it. I think it's always hilarious when I email them because I'll give them my stats too, and it's like Goodreads, 120,000 people, and it's like YouTube, 1,300. Such a difference, and I don't know how or why.
Yeah, it is interesting, and this again, I could do hours and hours, but let me not get distracted. So after that, I say all the best, Tucker Almagor, and then I put my address. Some people will be like, I don't want to put my address. They'll think I'm trying to like be manipulative, or they think I'm trying to like make like obviously hint at them. They will be so grateful if you put your address, and they won't give your address to anyone outside of their publishing company. They might give your address to other imprints, but they won't give your address to anyone outside of their publishing company. And it's so much more helpful for them to have your address, because then if they do want to send you a book, they don't have to email you back asking for your address, and that actually saves them a lot of time.
I do that as well. After my address, I put example reviews. Do you do that?
No, I don't.
Yeah. I
Maybe
said,
I
if you're
should.
interested, here are some reviews I've written. And I always throw in my Harry Potter review because that's the one I'm most proud of. Because at least as of like a few weeks ago, my Harry Potter review is like the #1 review for Harry Potter on Goodreads, which is
It's really exciting. Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I throw it on there, and I'll even put like #1 review for Harry Potter.
Yeah, and then that's my template. They're varying reactions from publishers. They're really nice ones, like Estelle from Forever Publishing. I think I've told you about her, right?
Is she the
She
one who says
is
LOL and OMG?
No, that's Christina from Sourcebooks. She's fun too, but Estelle is like the best publicist. She genuinely makes interactions with all the people she works with. A month ago, she did personal FaceTime calls to all the bloggers she works with, which is really sweet. Um, she gives, basically, she doesn't give a book or not give a book based on followers, which I really appreciate. She does it based on content, which is really great, because a lot of publicists, I got one email. I remember I was trying to request the one book about animals you told me about. What was it called? By Ben someone.
Wait, what?
I think it was Ben someone, maybe Dan. I don't know.
Oh, Ben Hoare. He does a World of Wonders, Natural World of Wonders, something like
Yeah,
that.
I was like, I was like, I want to read this, but if I can get a review copy, that'd be nice. So I emailed the people, and they're like, you must have 10,000 followers from us. And I was like, or 10,000 followers. And at the time I was like, oh, that's a lot. I don't think I'll ever get there. Now I realize I'll probably hopefully get there within the next couple years. But what kind of irritated me was, I don't personally like when publishers are super formal and almost cold with the way they interact with you. There was one publisher, the person who I reached out to, they're like, you must have a review within this amount of time. If you don't, you will be removed from our review list, and you will no longer receive mailing from us. And I was like, geez, like, I think sometimes publishers can forget that, number one, we're not being paid. Number two, we have lives outside of blogging. And that's another thing Estelle said, is she said, if we never get to a book, she won't be mad. If we because she's like, I get that you have a life outside of reviewing. She's like, as long as you do your best and try to read the books you request. It's totally fine. So she's really nice. Yeah, I also love when publishers or publicists reach out, like relating to one specific request, like, oh, I saw your request for this book. And they'll be like, I'm sending you this book. Are there any other books from your imprint, from our
I
imprint that you
love
want?
that.
And I'm like,
I love that.
are there? Where to start? Berkeley did that, and I got
Yeah,
a ton of
Berkeley was
books from
one of the
Berkeley.
first ones who did that to me, and that was awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why, like, if you like when I do my book breakdowns at the end of the year, I read so many Berkeley books, but that's just because they're like, "Would you like any more?" And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Heck yeah, I will."
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're talking to, like where they like reject you. Like I remember when I requested for this book and there's like nobody reviewing it, so I thought I had like a really good chance.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, sorry, you cannot become a book influencer until you have 800. No, sorry, you have 10,000 followers on Instagram. At the time, I had like I don't know, like 400, 500, but I also had like 30,000 on Goodreads.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I have a lot on this other website, and they're like, no. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. And here I am, like about a year later, and I'm up at
Oh,
800 on
yeah.
Instagram.
I just realized you can show comments. Look at this. Magic.
Oh,
Yeah. And on the note to that comment, it was an imprint of Penguin. What's it called? DK, I think is what it's called.
let's just not mention. Let's not get specific on the negatives, okay?
Oh, yeah, that's true. It was their.
You
Here's the
know
thing.
that that person's even still working there. Like they have such
It
a
wasn't a
quick
person though.
turnaround.
It wasn't a person. It was a generic email, which is
Um,
why, yeah. And I would have been probably a lot more frustrated if it was a person. But I was like, even this is your generic email. You can be a lot more warm in your generic email. But
I
yeah,
don't know. Maybe generic email person was having a bad day that day.
maybe. There's something else I was gonna say. Oh yeah, Tor.com did that recently. Do you know Cam Spara? I think that's how you pronounce it. His name is like Szpara, so it's hard to pronounce. He
I
wrote,
don't know.
he wrote a book called Docile. It's like a science
Oh,
fiction,
okay.
gay dystopian thing. It was really good. But anyway, he has a new book coming out in April, and I requested it, and she's like, sure, are there any other Tor titles you want? And I looked, because sometimes they'll get that, are there any more you want from an imprint I don't know too well? So I went on Edelweiss. Do you know Edelweiss?
I've heard of it. It's kind of like NetGalley, right?
It's basically NetGalley for
A little bit more
booksellers. It's for
difficult to get into, right?
So on Edelweiss, you can filter. You can make filters. So like you can make anything as vague as romance books to anything as specific to romance contemporary books published within 6 months from Berkeley. You can go really specific. Um,
That's cool.
so I was looking at Tor's titles and I requested a bunch, but now I'm sad because she never got back to me. So who knows what's gonna happen?
Well, like what I always do is if they say, "Do you want any more?" I'm like, "Could you send me a list of ones that you're interested in getting a review for?" And
Mm,
because that way they kind of narrow it down for you. Because there's so many times where you look up the books and you're like, "Oh, well, this is available," and then you find out that they're republishing it as a hardcover or something like that, and then you're like,
mhm.
"Well, dang it."
Yeah.
Or they'll do
Um,
books that like they don't really care about getting reviews because there's already like 300 of them out there.
mhm,
So they don't really want to send them out anymore because they're like, well, we got what we wanted.
mhm.
So I'll,
Yeah.
I'll do that with me.
I remember one time, what was it? So here's the thing. I do in my mind categorize publicists. Um, like if there's especially when I know how big the book is going to be. Like do you know who Ali Broche is? She published Hyperbole and a Half.
Okay, you're the one who knows like every name in the book. You can
Yeah.
almost assume that I don't know.
Okay. Well, she is publishing a new book for the first time in 7 years. So everyone's going to be excited about it. I'm excited about it. So I was like, I definitely should not reach out to the generic email because they will probably shoot me down. So I reached out to a different publicist who I have a much stronger relationship with. Fortunately, or unfortunately, she wasn't the publicist working on it, but it was still good because she passed it on to the publicist who was working on it. So we'll see.
That was,
But,
yeah.
yeah, I generally, when I'm sending an email, I keep in mind how big is this book going to be, and who should I reach out to? Because some publicists know me better, or some publicists are more generous, stuff like that.
I definitely feel that. And then also, like, I know for a while there, you and I were like teaming up to get books, and that was a lot of fun. Where we were doing like a series of buddy reads, where we were just rapid firing, like reading almost like a book a week, and we were just because like so many of our books overlap because we both do like Berkeley and a few other companies that like overlap, and we were like wanting to push through them.
Yeah.
So then we started taking advantage of that, and I would like email your publicist, or you would email people that you really know, like, so Tucker the reader and I are doing a buddy reads. Here's his socials. Here's my socials. We'd love to read your book. And like I feel like that had some success that I wasn't expecting from. That was a lot of fun.
That was fun. I think the reason, like, here's the thing. So this is another random thing. When I generally read 1 to 2 books at a time, one audiobook and one physical book.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I can always read an audiobook, but the thing is, I generally only read physical books at school, which sounds really weird. When I'm at
like
home,
lunch breaks and stuff.
What?
Lunch breaks, or are you
Actually,
like in class and you're reading?
No, I read in class. So, well, what happens here's basically, I don't read at home because usually I have stuff to do at home, but at school I get very, very bored because I regrettably signed up for all on-level courses, which are basically not honors or AP. Do they have AP in where you live, or is that just the Maryland?
IB, which is like the international AP.
Yeah, AP is basically advanced placement. So there's honors and AP classes, and I wasn't in any of those. So this is going to sound like I'm bragging, and it kind of is, but I got stuff done in class so very quickly before everyone else. I usually had like the classwork done before everyone else was done, and then I would just do the homework, and then I would just be sitting in class for like half an hour to an hour before class was over, because I just got everything done. So I would just bring a book with me and read while I waited for everyone else to finish. I remember there was one time when I was in, I think it was my business class, and we were given that day and then the next day to finish a project, and I finished it like 10 minutes into the first class, and then I was like, okay, I'll just read my book, but I finished my book before class ended. So I was like, now I don't have anything to do.
Oh no. I feel like you should be like taking different classes if you're finishing everything in 10 minutes.
I am. I'm doing mostly honors and AP classes next year.
Oh, that's good. Congrats. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you being ignored for like 2 seconds?
Luna right now.
Right?
What?
For when I earn my PhD, I get another one for the puppers.
Oh.
Keep looking like that. You're gonna change my mind. I'm just kidding.
I wonder how Squamish will react to the new dog.
Oh my gosh. So he's super protective over me. And we know that he makes a lot of friends at daycare. And the daycare suggested that a little boy, like a small dog boy, would be the best friend for him. So we know that he gets along like super, super well. He's afraid that they'll hurt me, and based off of his behavior and how he's been acting for like the last year or so. So once he realizes that I'm not going to be hurt, he's pretty chill. Like, he's really chill with my mom's dog. My mom's dog hates dogs, so they never interact. And he just knows to respect that. So if we get a dog his age, then hypothetically, he's going to want to play, maybe. But yeah, the trainer that we work with and the vet and the daycare people, they all say that he's a little like charmer, which is hilarious because we saw the mailman from half a block away and he started freaking out. But then again, he might recognize the mailwoman as the person who like ding dong ditches us every single day. How about Luna?
Luna is very anxious. She isn't as much. She actually isn't that protective, but when she sees anything loud or that she feels is gonna, especially here's the thing, it's so annoying. We have a big bay window in our living room that faces the street. So anytime she sees a dog or a person or the mail truck or any car, she just goes crazy. We don't really know why, because I think she feels like, oh, they're gonna come into my house and attack me or attack. I don't know if it's territory. I think she's just very anxious and she's easily upsettable. She has, which I'm glad to see, she has started to learn certain cards. Like she sees my mom's or my dad's card, and she's like, okay, these are not bad people.
Aww.
Yeah, but generally she just barks at everything. And the thing is, like right now, she's in my room.
Therapy dog, like a social anxiety therapy dog for Luna.
She hates other dogs. Well, she doesn't hate them. If she can get like, it's really, really hard. Because if we can get because if the other dog is excited, she's like, uh-oh, high emotion, and she freaks out. But if the other dog is like calm, she can just come up and sniff it, and then it's all fine. We've tried to introduce her to a couple of dogs. Our neighbor's dog, they did fine. But we introduced her to our aunt's dog, and she freaked out. It's like basically if the other dog is barking or whining or making any sort of noise, she freaks out. And when other dogs are freaking out, she tends to nip at them, which isn't good.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that would be a bit of a trouble.
Mm-hmm.
How do you even get on that? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, and then let's see. I had one more question for you, but it's escaping me, so I guess it couldn't have been that important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we do need to announce our next book, though.
Oh yes, it's very exciting.
Which I'm like super excited, and my teenage self is dying right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it is Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. That's right. Midnight Sun is coming out, and it's going to be published in like 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you've already got it?
Oh no, it's on my shelf. It's on my hold shelf.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to be like, Tucker, hook me up, but no.
No.
Also, I may have gone a little bit crazy, and I bought myself a copy from Barnes and Noble that is signed by Stephanie.
Oh.
I know, like I normally like never seek out like signatures from authors, but like she was such a formative author of my early years that I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And it ends up being like $35 or something, which is like, I mean, considering that I get most of my books for free at this point, like crazy for me to spend on a book.
I generally like refuse to spend $15 or over for books. I'm really cheap, and I never buy anything at Barnes and Nobles because they're so ridiculously expensive.
Mm-hmm. What kills me though is when the ebook costs as much as the regular books.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll look up like when I was picking out the books for the video that you and I are doing together.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the ebook was like $6.99 and the book was $7.99. And I was like, okay, I'll spend an extra $1 for it to be a physical book because why am I going to spend almost $15 on an ebook?
Personally, the max I'll probably do for an ebook is like $7, and I don't like ebook, and I never read books
for
anyway.
an ebook.
I've never seen that much, but
I've seen it. For a while there, I was reading all of the books from like reality TV stars that I was watching. So there's American Next Top Model, and I was reading all the books written by them. And their ebooks, even though they were published for like almost a decade ago, they were still like, $10, $12 for an ebook. And I was like, what? But at the same time, they're not publishing the physical copies anymore. And I had to like moral compass, is it worth buying this ebook? And I ultimately decided no, but I'm going to keep an eye out at resale shops sort of thing.
There's this thing called thrift books. They have really, really inexpensive
You can me onto thrift books. That's where I picked up a few books.
Yeah. I think thrift books, I think Book Outlet is pretty cheap, but there have also been a whole thing with Book Outlet being racist, so I don't really know what's going on with that.
Maybe that should be another video.
Maybe, I don't know. It was a thing like a month ago, and I don't really know what's going on with it.
Okay. Well, let's see. We're almost at the 60 minutes, and tonight I'm planning on setting up my snake tank.
Oh, yay.
I don't know when the little baby snake is going to be ready. They said about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month, depending on the size and how much they grow. As an update for the people who are watching, I'm getting a snake. I've wanted a snake for about 2 years now. And when I first got Agatha, my turtle, she was hardcore neglected, like couldn't walk, couldn't eat, kind of neglected. Spent about 1.5 years getting her back to health. And I was like, I don't feel ready to get another animal at that point. So then finally, a full 2 years after I've gotten her, I still want that snake really, really bad. And I'm going to pick him up. There's a local mom and pop. They've been breeding snakes forever. They have their own like reptile themed store. And I'm going to pick up a Mexican black king snake, which is jet black. They grow to about 3 to 4 feet long, maybe a little bit longer in captivity. And they kind of lived 20 years, which was a hard starting point for my husband. He was like, "Are you serious, Miranda? Like 20 years?" And I'm like, Agatha has like another 50 or something. Like, I don't know how long she's going to live. She's looking somewhere between 30 and 100.
I still think you should call it Neville Longbody.
I don't know. That is such a good name. I like the idea of naming her, if it's a girl, Nagini, and if it's a boy, Salazar.
I liked Cho Fang. That
was pretty good. And you also came up with Cedric Slithery, which I thought was hilarious. I don't know, maybe I can make a Goodreads poll. If you do a Goodreads poll, you can get about 1,000 of your friends to respond on it.
Yeah,
maybe I can get their votes.
I've done this before, and I used to do them all the time. But they lag my phone for some reason when I invite all the friends. So.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, I have to figure out what the gender is first, and then I'll check out the Goodreads poll and see what people are suggesting as a name. Yeah, the other thing is I thought I bought a big enough tank, but then I realized my tank is like the minimum size, and I'm like, okay, once the baby gets their certain length and width, I'm just gonna have to buy a bigger tank, because I strongly believe that you should never keep your animals in the minimum size unless they're the specific kind that get freaked out by the minimum size. Like there's some snakes that if it's too big, they can't handle it. They just get too stressed out. But other than that, you need to give them as much space as you can afford. Which I'll probably end up doing like a year or two once the snake's all grown. Well, thank you for this. Oh my gosh, Andrew, you have a spotted python baby? Oh my goodness.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, she's got one too. Yeah, it's definitely a very low maintenance pet, but it can be very rewarding. I'm looking forward to it so much.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 minutes left. Anything you want to say, Tucker?
I don't think so. I think that's all I had. I mean, I could go on and on about arcs, but yeah.
I mean, like you could save that for a video, publish on your channel. So yeah, I guess that's it. I'll update you guys in about a month or so, and whether or not my little baby is ready. It is a hatchling, and they're waiting until that hatchling will eat frozen food reliably before they are willing to sell it, which I really appreciate. They never want to take it out of the wild, and I never want to have to do live animals. Like, I'm fine with it, they're already dead, but there's too many dangers associated with feeding live, at least for me personally. Yeah. My whole world right now is just snakes.
Very exciting.
I appreciate you just putting up with it, because I know I've been messaging you a lot about.
No, it's okay. I don't mind. I just can't like fully relate because snakes are kind of like. I'm not scared of them. They're just kind of like unsettling.
Well, I don't feel like that for a baby, but like when I was at the store, they had like the full size snake, and I was like, oh. Like, I'm not one to be squeamish, but I was like, that was a big snake. And like logically, it's not. But like, I think I would be better as a baby, and I can kind of like watch it grow and get used to handling it at a smaller size. When it's bigger, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I
if
think
I were to brought home the full size one, Clint would be like, "What are you doing?"
I can do the smaller ones, but like we have humongous black snakes in our yard, and they creep me out.
What kind of black snakes are they?
I don't know. I don't really know snake species. I think just normal garden snakes. I think. I'll check.
But like itty bitty boys.
Oh. Well, they're very creepy. You should have pulled on one once.
Do an Instagram story. I'd love to see it.
I think I did once. I'll send it to you. It might be a black rat snake. What?
A black? I was gonna ask you, do you want to be the godfather of the snake?
Oh, I would love to.
Okay, you can be the godfather. My sister has already called dibs on being the godmother. She's the godmother to all my pets. But you can be the godfather of the snake.
Okay.
All right. So I think that covers it for this month. So next month we're reading Midnight Sun. I might be filming a reaction video as I'm reading Midnight Sun, so I will warn you that you can't watch that, Tucker.
Okay, I won't watch it.
All right. Have a great day. See y'all.
Bye.